Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Crypto Hipster Podcast. This is your host, Jamil Hassan, the Crypto Hipster, where I interview founders, entrepreneurs, executives, thought leaders, amazing people all around the world. And today, my guest is on the other side of the world. He's a repeat guest. I had him. This is the third time he's on, and both first conversations were amazing. So, my guest today is Cyrus Takhishian. Cyrus, welcome back.
Hey, thanks for having me back, man. I'm really excited to catch up and talk, state of affairs, what's going around in the world today.
Awesome. Me too. Me too. So the first two times I had you on, who represented ShopX. This time we're talking about Fund, right? So I want to find out, your role there. But first, what is your background? Is it a logical background? What you're doing now, and why the transition over to Fund?
Yeah, my background is pretty unique. I started my career in finance, doing mortgage-backed securities and CDOs and real estate. I did that before even getting a college degree. I just met the right person at the right time, said the right thing, and he's like, "You got a job," and I was like, "All right, let me go for it." Um, and then I moved over to working at Deloitte Consulting, doing technical implementations and strategy work for Fortune 500 companies around digital marketing and e-commerce. So this is where I learned a lot of my e-commerce stuff. For those who remember me from ShopX, that was Web3 e-commerce. 2014 came across Bitcoin. 2016 dedicated my life to decentralize all the things. Boy, was I naive in 2016, thinking I could, do some of the things I thought I could do in 2016. But you had to start somewhere. Back then I thought you could just make one app and it just decentralized the whole vertical like e-commerce. But now I'm understanding that there's like so many layers to it. Been multiple time founder, entrepreneur, have a couple exits under my belt, and over the past few years and last couple times I've been on the show, been heading ShopX, which is decentralized e-commerce, specifically around like rewards and retention, and creating unique ways to build relationships with your customers without having to pay Google, Amazon, or Facebook and the tax that they charge to drive traffic to your sites. And now over the past 6 months or so, been really focusing on the next evolution of what Web3 e-commerce could look like. And I believe that's going to be aces.fun. We could talk a little bit more about that, but yeah, my whole life, given that I have a finance background, given that I have a tech implementation, a strategy background from Deloitte. And on top of all of this, I was an economics major, quant economics. So I took all the high math. So all of that makes sense for me to be in blockchain because blockchain is just not tech. It's like tech, it's economies, economics, all of that kind of put into one. And that's something I really enjoy doing is putting all the puzzle pieces together to build something really unique and fun.
Awesome, awesome. So, yeah, I want to get into Fund. What is it all about, and why have you shifted your focus to that now at this time?
Yeah, so there was a the Web3 promise to decentralize, verticals like e-commerce. But the issue is, while it has had some impact on, like, let's say a buyer and a seller, which are like the two fundamental players or stakeholders in the e-commerce transaction, you haven't really built ecosystems that involved retail. What I mean by retail is like the crypto retail crowd, for those people to be able to have a, a reason to come in and trade a coin or have some sort of market that they could participate in. It doesn't even just have to be trading a coin, but some sort of market to participate in. Um, and what we did at ShopX was we made it more efficient for sellers to connect to buyers, and we gave buyers a reward mechanism that went beyond, just getting some reward points. So they had what we called customer ownership. So customers had ownership of their own relationship with the brands, and brands didn't have to go pay Amazon, Facebook, or Google to acquire customers. And that was a great system, although we just didn't figure out how to add the crypto retail side and create a market for them to be able to participate. Because what I've found is that to hit critical mass in Web3 adoption, you need that element. It needs to have that, that sexiness, flashiness, what makes it fun to bring all the eyeballs, the PR, and the people to keep talking about that. Otherwise, you're just gonna get lost in the background. And even though you're building great stuff, and ShopX was great, and some of these other companies I've seen over the years, they've built some really amazing technology. Another one in Web3 commerce was OpenBazaar, right? And they had the EOL at some point as well, but what they were building was phenomenal. Um, so what we've been able to do now at aces.fun is figure out a way to inject the crypto retail element into a e-commerce transaction. And so what ACES is all about is still the vision of decentralizing e-commerce, still, protecting sellers, protecting buyers from, monopolistic type of pricing or price gouging or anything along those lines that come with a monopoly or oligopoly type system or ecosystem within commerce, but also adding now the retail element so they can participate. And the way we do this is very simple. Sellers want to sell items, right? That hasn't changed. And we have a term in Web3 called real world assets. Now, most of the people who've been using real world assets, I'm just going to call it RWAs from now on. That's what we call it in the industry. For those who usually do anything with RWAs, it's like tied to a commodity like gold or something like that, right? So no one's really thought about RWAs as products like a car, an iPhone, a laptop. Technically, these are real world assets and you could tokenize them as well. So from a seller's standpoint, we could tokenize these RWAs, but by tokenizing them, usually how it was with an NFT. So you tokenize an RWA, you issue an NFT, and that was it, right? There was nothing else to it. Um, but in today's world, if you haven't heard of this, you're living under a rock, but like Pump Fun or like a Trump meme coin that's been launched, we've seen like this phenomenon that like we're tokenizing everything, like, and it's intersecting at all different types of industries. Whether if it's opinions, there's a company that's tokenizing opinions. There's Polymarket, which tokenizes like prediction markets of like where you could bet if, Trump is going to win or lose the election. That was one of the big bets. Or, is Zelensky going to stay the US president? Anything. You come up with anything and you could tokenize it and have a little bit of a prediction market where you could, take one side or another and earn some money doing so. Trump tokenized his brand name, his name. So we've seen this phenomenon start to catch on. Now, is this a fad or something that's going to last a little longer? I think it depends on the industry. I don't think everything needs to be tokenized or will be tokenized. But one thing I do think will be is luxury. And what I've seen is that there are people who have these very interesting items, maybe unique or rare, one of ones or one of 1,000s or whatever. And they want to be proud of what they have and they want to be able to kind of show it off or create a community around it. And sometimes they don't want to use their face, right? So we have a method now through these tokenization of products with RWAs to make a product the centerpiece and create a digital identity online. And that digital identity is tethered to the real world asset. So now you could create a persona around this luxury item, whether if it's art, cars, like I said, anything in the luxury collectible space. And by tokenizing it, you could create a derivative market where people could participate in the journey or the evolution of this product, whether if it's owned by somebody, they put it for sale and somebody buys it, and there is a real world value tied to that, meaning like a transaction happens. That's what happens in e-commerce. Money exchanges hands, and whatever commission that usually would come out of this that would go to Amazon or whatever, now it goes back into the token economy. And this creates a flywheel effect because now they become your liquid marketing force, right? So they're constantly talking about your product through, the token, whether for buying or trading and all that kind of stuff. So we've created this very synergistic ecosystem where sellers benefit, by, having a community now marketing and making their luxury item more famous, and finding buyers through that flywheel effect. We have buyers now having the ability to come in and purchase not only an asset, but an asset that's been authenticated. It's real, it has a digital identity and comes with this community. So like whenever someone sells it, the whole digital identity also gets sold with it, and a retail community now that could participate in this product, and its life cycle through transactions. And once it gets verified, once we do the authentication to say, yeah, this is the item, it's tied to this digital identity, then it could just get sold again and again and again, and that provenance is all there, and all that stuff we've talked about over the past 5 years in blockchain, it's still there, but we could do it in such a fun way. Hence the name Aces.fun. We want to bring the fun back into these luxury collectible transactions and sales online.
That all makes sense. You mentioned pump.fun. Now
Hmm.
you have these coins like Trump coin, which 800,000 people lost about $3.3 billion.
Hmm.
You have these coins like Dave Portnoy's, gel stool coin, where people got rugged $160 million, right?
Hmm.
You're similar name to Pump.Fun. I would say retail's here, and retail just got rugged. How are you going to distinguish and determine, hey, we're here, as legitimate business compared to just a casino of memes? How do you make that? How do you get people to think about that distinction?
Yeah, that's a great question. It's something we've been thinking about a lot internally, because we were thinking, do we name it fun? Do we not name it fun? And we went back and forth in this a lot. Inevitably, we do think that, what has happened in Pump Fun and all that kind of stuff, while there has been, some sliver of hope in some ways that some things turned out well, but very few, there was a lot of noise and crap that came with it. And the noise and crap that came with it was because, in the nature of what they were building, didn't have a real asset or something that will back whatever this tokenization was. It was just, it was just pop culture. It was news. Honestly, I found news on Pump Fun faster than I sometimes found it on like Reddit or Twitter, because I'd be like, oh, okay, so this is what's really popular today. This meme coin represents what's going on in today's trends, and we call that the meta, like what's in the meta today. And that's basically just like what's in the news. So the legitimacy we bring is that, what we authenticate anything that's being tokenized. We make sure there's a real world asset to it, and there's a value that people are going to be trading into. Meaning, if I'm selling, let's say, a car, that's worth $250,000. And again, remember, like, we are very niche in in the industry we're going to, which is luxury collectibles. Like, we're not going to be selling iPhones. That's not where we're starting right now. So there's going to be items that are going to be on average between 50 to $500,000 that's going to go through the platform. If that gets transacted, and you take like an average fee of like 5%, you're going to be making anywhere between like, 5 grand to like, 50 grand on commissions. But instead of the company taking that, because all of this stuff is done on chain, you take that commission and you inject it back into the token holders, because you pay them for marketing your product to acquire and bring more customers to you. That's essentially how we're doing this. So it's not a dividend. It's not like a security. It's not any of that shit. It's like, all right, you're participating in this RWA. It's tokenized. You're buying it. It's never going to go to zero, because there's going to be a transaction, a real dollar amount tied to it. So whenever that transaction does occur, then you'll get paid pro rata based on it. And this is where it creates a very unique, fun game. And this is different than anything else that's been on the platform, on the market at all, for any of these tokenization or derivative markets. Um, Historically, on Pump Fun or anything else, it's just PvP. And this is why rooks happen. It's like, and the PvP could be the creator versus everybody else, or it could be, even if the creator was like, hey, I genuinely want to build something really cool. I'm not going to rug or anything like that. But then early people who get in, might be selling on top of other people, and it's just like, all right, it's a player versus player game. And that I didn't quite like. Yeah, and I was like, there has to be a better way to do this because there's been so much liquidity and so much activity in these derivative markets. And I found them personally exciting, but it's like, how do you bring something, a different type of game into this? So there's an inverse relationship now. Within aces.fun, the other element that we added where there's a transaction and that transaction has a dollar amount and that dollar amount is attributed to the token holders of this, whatever, the product coin. We call it the RWA coin. And the inverse relationship is this. As the price per token goes up, the commission per token goes down. As the price per token goes down, the price per commission per token goes up. So if people are selling the coin and the coin is going down in value, the amount of the commission you're going to be getting, the fee from holding the coin for the transaction to happen, it's gonna go up. So you're actually making money as the price of this token is going down. If the price of the token is going up, then the share of the amount of the commission that you're getting is going to go down. And this creates a game that's going to make traders trying to find that equilibrium where you're going to be buying and selling. It's like, okay, if I buy additional token, I'm going to get more in the reward. So I will buy this token until the cost of another token is so much that it's not going to make sense for me to buy it. And then maybe I'm sitting there, I'm looking, hey, the cost of this token, I actually made quite a bit of money now. If I sell, I could sell, but then other people who are sitting there, it's like, oh, hey, other people are selling, but the value of the reward that I'm going to be getting is going up. So it creates this very unique game where people could uh, uh, make money in any market direction in this. And it also is good for the seller because the more trades, the more volume, the more activity, it's just naturally marketing this through all the social channels. And then we inject AI. And I don't want to call us an AI platform, and maybe you and I should talk about AI. I think you said we would. Um, but I see AI more as a decorative piece into what we're doing. Like I see AI as like part of the tech stack. And if you don't have AI in your tech stack anymore, you're like losing as an entrepreneur. So like you got to like figure the shit out. I see like you have a front end, you have your back end, you have a database, and then you have AI. That needs to be part of your whole like tech stack. Like when you're building a platform. And however you inject the AI, it's fine. But it's more of a decorative piece. And then yeah, you have the LLMs like the OpenAI, Claude, and Grok. Yeah, okay, those are true AI companies doing some phenomenal work in the AI space. But any other company, like if I claimed that, oh, we're building an AI marketplace. Okay, what does it do? It's just a chat bot. It's a concierge. You could do some stuff. And yeah, it's cool that it could automate some of the stuff and make the user experience more pleasurable for your customers. But in no way, shape, or form is it like something special to our marketplace, because any other marketplace could just decorate their marketplace with AI as well. So anyway, those are my 2 cents on AI. Um, but
I'm gonna
yeah, I'll take a pause there.
Yeah, I'm gonna ask you about AI. I like the fact that you're adding microeconomics to this whole thing where the pumped up fund was PvP and now you have microeconomics is based on finding that equilibrium. I like it. Um, so let's talk about AI agents too. You're merging RWA tokenization with AI driven agents, right? What's the
Mhm.
benefits of that? What are the benefits of that approach?
Yeah, so twofold. So let's start with the more exciting one to me is so the AI agents, they could work uh, endlessly, nonstop in terms of marketing versus a human being. So if an AI agent is paired with a product, and this could be true, I mean, this is happening at ACES, but this could be true within any marketplace or at Web3, just commerce in general. Now you have this AI agent constantly promoting your product across socials, forums, and other vast places over the internet. And because the AI agent understands your customer segmentation, demographic, who's the right type of buyer, they will go and it's kind of like the difference between a sniper rifle and a shotgun. They will find qualified customers and drive them to your site. And we have this capability now with AI agents that they could go and post on socials and other type of places to find qualified customers. Versus the old method is I'll pay Facebook, Google, and Amazon a fistful of money. They'll send me a ton of traffic. I don't know where the hell they get it from. Fake, real, whatever. I'm paying per click, PPC economics. And I cross my fingers that I could convert 1% of them. It's very inefficient. It's like, why is all this traffic and packets and data going through the internet just to be able to convert on 1%? If you have an AI agent could go to predetermined places that they feel that it's going to find the type of customer that you want, that the product that you're selling, and it could be different for every type of product, and find qualified customers and drive that type of traffic, and you'll have a much higher conversion rate. So, this way of using AI agents could make a big impact on sellers, on business owners who are looking to find, better CAC to LTV, customer acquisition cost to lifetime value, where you're not having to pay an arm and a leg to, Google, Amazon, or Facebook, and they have no accountability. Like, I don't mind paying people stuff, but Amazon, Google, and Facebook have no accountability. Like, if they suck or if they send you fake traffic, what are you going to do? Where are you going to go? Call the police? They're not going to do anything. Go to another competitor. They've already bought the whole industry, right? They're centralized. So like you have nothing you could do. Actually, I recently got I was doing some marketing for another company last year that I had. We were selling actual physical products, and Facebook banned us for no reason, and I had there was no there was no conflict, there's no resolution channel, and it was all internal, and they decided, and it was a conflict of interest, and I'm like, you guys can't be, the police and the judge at the same time. It's like, of course you're gonna side with yourself, and I had no recourse. There was nothing I could do. It just really sucked. So yeah, I know there's been some people who've made some good success using Facebook marketing or like Google marketing or running ads and all that kind of stuff. But I would actually say that's been more of a rug pull, and more people have lost money doing that than on memes. I don't I just because of the sheer amount of time that that's been around. Maybe if you do it in the past year, maybe Pump Fund takes the cake on this. But I honestly, I just know so many people who've just lost so much money doing ads because they don't publish the algorithm, they don't explain anything to you, they make it so clunky, and there's only a few people that really kind of figure that out. But anyway, I digress. So that is one use of AI. It's just making a more efficient way of finding customers because they understand and they have the strategy of where to go and what type of customer demographic to find and what type of wording to use when they type whatever messages they are online to attract those customers. And then the second piece of it is, so often than not, when you're online, and we've seen this with like text messaging and like pop-up chats on places where you could talk with a human or text me and we'll respond to you. Like those type of businesses have seen good conversion rates too, or better conversion rates. And there have been startups that have been selling those services like, hey, text the owner. Or, I'm in Southeast Asia right now, and everything runs off WhatsApp, right? You just go to a restaurant, you go somewhere, you just WhatsApp, and they'll communicate with you instantly, right? But that costs time, money, and people to always be um, at a computer. Now you could have an AI agent be a concierge. Any type of question I have, like I want to know more about this product. Okay, hey, I want to use this product to do, can this do what I want it to do? Right? It'll remove some of that anxiety and help people and handhold people through making a purchase. And I'll say, like, I don't even think the thing you want to optimize here is conversion rates. It's like, oh, I want to sell more shit. What you want to optimize is finding the right product for the right person, again, bringing in more efficiency in the products you're selling and having a happy customer, which will then have them be loyal to you to come back and buy more because they're like, all right, I'm not wasting my time rather than like this whole like Instagram bullshit that we have. It's like, oh, just an ad. Oh, I want to buy a $50 thing. I buy and I just throw it in my garbage or in my drawer and never use it, right? Just, like it's ending consumerism as a brainless activity and turning it into a, hey, I need some sort of utility or value from this product. Can this product help me do what I want to do? Yes or no. And if it's not, then where can I find it? And we could get that sort of concierge and hand holding through the buyer's journey. So I think these two are at least the ones that have come to me and the ACES team and what we're incorporating into the commerce journey. And there's so many other ways you could use AI, things that I can't even think of today, but you just need to get your hands dirty and do things to figure it out the entrepreneur way, kind of like inspect and adapt and trial and error and fail and fail and fail and fail, 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 and then success, 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 fail, 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 just the whole rodeo. But every industry is going to have a different way where you could use AI and leverage that technology. And I'll end with this. I uh I was reading, and I'm gonna attribute this to Scott Galloway, because I think I read it through him, but it sparked a lot of a lot of thinking, critical thinking on my part, where he was connecting AI to technologies like CRISPR, the internet, airplanes, bicycles, where yeah, like some of them have been privatized, but really like airlines don't make a lot of money. And I think net positive, they've been better for most people in the world rather than, a few shareholders in those companies. The airlines haven't really performed well over the years. Um, and then like, same with bicycles, like there's so many bicycles you could get for cheap. I don't know of one bicycle company that's like an Amazon that turned into be a monopoly. The internet, obviously, in some ways this one's kind of like a gray subject, but it did democratize information or access to information to anybody who had access to the internet. But then there's also some other things that came into the ways that they like, use your data and collect it and use it against you. But outside of that, and then he said that AI kind of is going to fall in that same category. And what that means, and the way I look at this is that like you have shareholders and you have stakeholders, stakeholders being people who use it, shareholders, people who profit from it. What we've seen in the past month or 2 months with what like DeepSeek that came out and really undermined saying, hey, shareholders, you're putting all this money and time into this AI thing, but I could do it without all the stuff that, NVIDIA and OpenAI are using allegedly, right? Who knows? I mean, because they have their own agendas. But I do believe that like, because I've been messing around with AI, I do believe that it doesn't require all that sort of money, and you could train other LLMs with another LLM, and it's going to be hard to create these defensible architectures for AI because it defeats the whole purpose. The AI needs to be open to learn as much as it can to process that information to be able to give you more accurate results. So there's a little bit of a catch-22, which I think it's going to be net more positive for stakeholders than shareholders. So that doesn't mean that it's bad or not a good investment or anything along those lines. I just think it's just going to have a profound impact on society, um, more so than it's going to have an impact on, the financial statements or on the stock market would, at least in that sense, right? And then now you can start talking about how you could use the AI in the stock market and trades and stuff like that. I know people are doing that stuff too.
I've seen as soon as DeepSeek came out, I've seen a whole bunch of accounts on X claiming they made millions without knowing how to code, and this is all you got to do. And part of the what we had to do was code. I'm like, I mean, how do you do it? So, you know, um, yeah. So you mentioned the buyer's journey and the benefits of AI. I think that's great. I did want to ask you about. You said the buyer's journey. What's the one thing that I saw you write about was called the prisoner's dilemma, right? And a
Mhm.
lot of people feel that AI, they're now become a prisoner to AI, right? But what is actually the prisoner's dilemma, and how do you get the prisoner out of the dilemma?
Yeah, that's a great question too. So this goes back to my economics days in college in the university, in a class called game theory, right? Game theory is basically, if you're in a certain situation, what will you do and what would other people do? And then there's different types of games or situations that could arise that you could predict what people are going to do based on the incentives or information at hand. In the prisoner's dilemma, and the reason why it's called the prisoner's dilemma, let's just kind of use the same example that it's textbook. Let's say you have two people that are captured by the cops. They're prisoners now. They're put into two different rooms. They were captured at two different times. Now, the cops are telling them, hey, just turn the other guy in and we'll give you a lighter sentence, and the other person's going to get a heavier sentence. But if they both say nothing, then they're both going to get a very light sentence or walk away free because then the cops don't have anything. So it creates this dilemma. It's like, well, do I say something or not? Because I can't communicate with with the other party, right? Because we're in two separate rooms. We don't know what they're going to do. And in that moment, if I don't say anything and the other person doesn't say anything, then we both walk free. That's what I want. But I can't be so sure if the other person's not going to say anything. So then at that point, I'm just like, okay, maybe I should confess, so then I get a little bit of a medium sentence, but then the other person's going to get a higher sentence, but at least I get away with a lighter sentence. And this is the dilemma. And what happens is, like, it's always best in the situations in a prisoner's dilemma just to stay quiet, and have the other person stay quiet. Unfortunately, there's an incentive to speak, and you get scared and all that kind of stuff, where you just don't want to, like, be the other person confessing, and then you're the one that goes to jail and they only get like a year and you get 10 years, right? So that's kind of the outcome of this whole thing. And this is where we are in a lot of our in a lot of crypto. Because it is a PvP. What is this other person going to do? What am I going to do? If we both don't sell, that's great, right? Because then things are going to be great. And if I sell first and then they're caught, or if they sell first and we're caught, and it creates this kind of like dynamic. And this is the catalyst in building that inverse relationship and having the ability to have, not a prisoner's dilemma in the aces.fun trading engine and trading game that we created. It's, the game within the game. But more generally speaking, how do you take the prisoner out of this dilemma? I think it's just that we have to change the way we operate. Because, like, right now we are in a situation where, in like capitalism, it's rankings, like at me versus you in a lot of ways. And if we move into a different type of game, and I'm not saying we should become socialism, communism, or anything along those lines, that there's terms like conscious capitalism, which is still about, like, hey, let's innovate and build cool stuff, but it's not all about maximizing shareholder profit at all costs, including destroying the planet, right? We could create different KPIs for capitalism besides maximizing shareholder value. So in order to take this, like, prisoner out, like, there's always going to be a prisoner's dilemma when you're in a game competing with other people. But if we could create the game where we're going to be working together to accomplish a common goal, then there is no more prisoner's dilemma, because we all have the same goal in mind. We're going to be going in the same direction. And what's good for me is good for you. And what's good for you is good for me. And there is no more prisoner. You're not a prisoner anymore in that sense. So hopefully I answered the question the way you're looking for.
You did, and then it brings up another. I mean, I wasn't going to ask this, but I think it's important. Um, Donald Trump said that he wants the U.S. to be the crypto capital of the world, right? Recently, this week, I'm not going to talk about the market tanking because it's going to rebound. But there were three states in the U.S., North Dakota, Montana, and Wyoming, who voted against having a strategic Bitcoin reserve for the currency, right? Um, I'm looking at it, I'm like, you know, is it because of the because they said it was risky? Because there should be an index instead. There should be like a basket. Like, you reduce risks by having a basket. And if you have a basket of goods, a basket of cryptos, a basket of AI that you think could be good for the entire economy, then everybody's working together, like you said, instead of working against each other. How do you think that's going to play
Mhm.
out?
Oh, wow. Loaded question. All right. So I've actually been thinking about this a lot, and I don't even know if it's a good thing that these nation states, like, just forget about the US in a second, just like any country buying Bitcoin. Because again, we're still living in a prisoner's dilemma game theory economy or world where, okay, I'll just give you some situations or hypotheticals that could happen. Let's say US comes in and says, okay, we want to be the Bitcoin reserve, and they buy a couple $1 trillion worth of Bitcoin and they buy like 2, 3% of the supply. Okay, I'm El Salvador. Holy shit. Price of Bitcoin went from 100K to 150, 200, 300. And I want to talk about this too, about how the price of Bitcoin changes, because I don't think a lot of people understand. But let's just say the price of Bitcoin goes up. I'm just sitting there. I'm like, okay, let me sell. The United States just became exit liquidity, right? And it's like, because then now you're back in this prisoner's dilemma of, well, if they're buying and it's going to go down and all that kind of stuff. It's very we need to have a better understanding and standardization of exactly how this is going to work, and how, if we're buying into reserves, can we buy and are they going to be buying and selling it, or they're just going to be buying it? Are they going to be mining it? Like, a lot of questions I have that comes into this. So unfortunately, I'm not giving you answers. I'm giving you more questions, but that's good because it's going to make you and your listeners think more, because we should have more people thinking about this. But yeah, these are the thoughts that we need to kind of think through. Hopefully David Sachs is doing it. If it's not, David, call me. I'll help you. I've been around the block, and I know how this shit works. Um, so those are just some of the thoughts that I have. And now, um, how is this going to work? I really feel that this is going to be the end of the Federal Reserve. And now I have a hypothesis, or a conspiracy theory, that the World Liberty Financial coin that, Eric Trump, or one of the Trump, I think it's Eric Trump, launching with the Trump name and everything like that, and they're buying a basket of cryptos in this. And when I looked at the coin, it's just a governance coin. I'm like, what the hell's the point of this token? Oh, governance. Governance of what? What to buy? So basically, you're a hedge fund manager. I'm giving you money, and then you're going to go buy crypto with it. I can just buy the crypto and custody it myself. So there's something there that they haven't let onto us. And I think it's that they're going to turn that into a decentralized Federal Reserve, that if you own the World Financial Liberty token, then you could become, because you got to remember, the Federal Reserve is not part of the government. It's a privately owned company. So if Trump wants to make the US the crypto capital of the world, you can't talk about being the crypto capital of the world without talking about the Fed, the Federal Reserve. And if the Federal Reserve is centralized, I don't know. Like, it's just lipstick on a pig, Mr. Donald Trump, right? So you're gonna have to decentralize the Federal Reserve, and I think that could be the way. And if they're not thinking like that, Eric Trump, if you're listening, you gotta hit me up, because I know this shit too. I'll help you out. Um, so all of that being said, it's 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 important that we all we all understand what Bitcoin can do, and how it's going to usher us away from uh, the the centralized banking nature, because the Bitcoin reserve isn't meant to pay off the debt. I mean, I know it can, but it's meant to create a stable currency that we could use, like a dollar, that has some sort of asset that backs it, that then we could use that, and our value isn't being stolen away from us through inflation or printing of money. I mean, that is the purpose of the reserve. So, but it's kind of circular with Bitcoin, because Bitcoin is denominated in dollars, and you want to use dollars as the stable coin. So it's too messy right now. I think we need to look at this from the ground up, and that has to include the conversation with what's going to happen to the Federal Reserve. Are we going to lean it out? Are we going to create a decentralized Federal Reserve that anybody in the United States that owns a token has a say or voting power into what type of assets we put into these reserve? And it doesn't just have to be crypto. It could be other sort of assets as well, like gold. Um, and we did do that before, right? And now there's like, theories that Fort Knox doesn't have any gold in it or like whatever. So lot more questions. I think this needs a lot more time. I've put in some thought, but I haven't put in the sort of thought it requires. And hopefully the David Sacks of the world and, others are going through these type of thought processes, business intelligence, critical thoughts, and thinking through, in a game theory type of way, what would happen if we did this or that or whatever, and designing a system in a game that's going to be impervious to any type of centralized manipulation or outside manipulation. If they do that, then we're going to be in a good place because I do think this is the right path, but I just don't think it's like as easy as let's buy Bitcoin and then it's all good. Like I don't think it's easy as that.
I agree. I agree. I like the concept of the building the game theory around all the possibilities and then building it from ground up. I like that a lot. So, yeah. So I want to thank you again very much for your time today. I enjoyed speaking with you, and always have great conversations. So thank you. And I have one last
Yeah.
question. Um,
Yeah. What's up, man?
before you hit the beach over there in Bali, um, how can people find out more information about you, about Aces.fun? How can they become shareholders, stakeholders? How can they use your platform? How can they do that?
Yeah, sure. So you can find me at cyrus.fun. I'm just going with this whole naming mechanism. So you can find a little bit about me, my portfolio and stuff like that at cyrus.fun. I'm actually building an email list now, and I'm going to start putting a lot of my thoughts and the way I think into an email list. So Cyrus.fun. And then Aces, Aces.fun. It's just Aces.fun, the website. We have all the social links. Twitter is where we're most active. So go there, follow our Twitter. You'll be up to date with all the, new innovations and insights and cool stuff that we're doing. So we're in closed beta. We're building right now, but sometime this summer, I'd say maybe even like April or May, but let's just say the summertime, the platform will be live. So you can go check it out at that time. But from now till then, yeah, just go to aces.fun, hit the Twitter link, follow, and you'll be up to date on what's happening.
Awesome. Thank you very much for your time today.
Yeah, thanks, Jamil. Later, everybody.